Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Stand out, don't fit in. Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Today I have the real pleasure to be speaking with a property investor for over 30 years who bought his first house at age 19, and he's also a property mentor. And for over 6 years, he's been the host of a monthly property networking event in Ipswich. He is also a fitness instructor, a sport mud, and teaches a chair-based exercise class for the elderly and people with medical conditions. He also ran a karate club for over 30 years and was English karate champion for his weight. And he loves helping people. Halstead Ottley, welcome to the show. I'm really delighted to be speaking with you today.
Hi, Aggie. Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. And I told you earlier that I wanted to have this conversation with you for the podcast for quite a long time now. So I'm really excited to be having this conversation today. Halstead, I want to start by asking you to share a milestone in your life that urged you to change into the person that you are today.
Sure. I mean, there's a couple really, Aggie. When I was 8 years old, I wasn't very tall, but I got inspired by a film called "Come Away, My Wee Geordie." And it starts off where the guy, little boy, the teacher's asked a question and he said, "Stand up, Geordie." He says, "I am, sir." And you can't see him because he's below the desk. Mm-hmm. And he take parts in a fitness program. And the gist of it is that he grows to be over 6 feet tall and throws the hammer for Scotland. And I think, wow, maybe it could work for me. Mm-hmm. So I devised my own fitness, and I would do things like press-ups and sit-ups. We had one of these old suitcases, and you'd put it in there, and I'd do bench press with it and all sorts. And I remember going to school, and God, I used to ache and whatever. And I'd be going, "Oh, that really aches. Oh, I can really feel that." And my friends used to call me the "I can feel it, man," because I was always complaining about the aches and whatever. But the thing about that, Aggie, is that it made me a lot fitter and stronger. You know, it gave me more self-confidence because, you know, healthy mind, healthy body, you know, self-discipline, because it takes discipline to work out on a regular basis. And it taught me really good work ethic. So that's probably, you know, a really good milestone. And the second one is when I discovered capital growth. I'm in the sixth form at school, and most people have heard that my mum, you know, she needed to borrow some money and had the house valued and said, you know, there's no way they've made a mistake. We paid $1,200. It's worth $25,000. And she's just going, there's no way. And just light bulb moment, I'm thinking, wow, this property thing, you know, this is it really. And so what did that do for me, Aggie? Well, it allowed me to leave my full-time employment. You know, it helped me to become debt-free apart from my mortgage, you know, helped me to build great and lasting relationships and to become a really good problem solver. Mm-hmm. So I think they're the two real main things, I think, that is milestones that have helped me to change my life.
That's awesome. And you mentioned about becoming a problem solver, which really sticks out from what you said. And you said also about the self-discipline to exercise on a regular basis, and how you're getting stronger physically also gets you stronger mentally and emotionally because of that. And that's I believe very good learnings for anyone to take on board. Halstead, apart from those two moments which happened while you were, at a very young age, let's say the last 10 or 15 years, was there any other key defining moment that moved you or changed you?
I think I had to have a hip replacement back in 2004, and I became an aerobics instructor. I'll share you a quick story with you actually, because everyone knows that I'm a karate instructor, and the mums would bring their children along to the class, and they'd sit and watch. And they wanted to get fit, but they didn't want to do karate. So sometimes they would join in the warm up. Anyway, we're at the class, and one of the mums says, "Can you teach aerobics?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can. It's for girls, right? I've never seen an aerobics class, never been to one." I said, "Yeah, sure." They said, "Brilliant. Will you put a class on for us, please?" So I'm thinking, I've dropped myself in something here. So I said, "Yeah, sure, but you need to get 35 people, hire a hall, 35 people, and I'll do the class for you." I think there's no way they'll get that amount. Anyway, we're at the national championships at the Corn Exchange in Ipswich, and the lady comes up to me and she says, "Halstead, we're still on for Wednesday. I've got 35 people. I've hired the hall. This is on the Sunday, and I've hired the hall." Going, "Oh no, oh my God!" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I've spoken to Carol. She wasn't my wife then. I said, "Oh my God, I've got to do this aerobics," and she used to do aerobics, you see. So I borrowed books and tapes, Jane Fonda, and all sorts, and I put this thing together, and I put the music together. So Carol said, "Come round on Tuesday, and you can practice. I'll cook, and you can practice." So we're in Carol's living room, and we're doing this workout that I put together. And she says to me, "This is a bit hard." I said, "You're just not fit." Completely missing the point, right, of who's coming to my class.
Yeah.
And so these ladies come along, put the music on, and throughout the night, there's either me and only one other person up. I'm absolutely destroying these ladies. Haven't got a clue what I'm doing. After 6 weeks, I've got 6 people left, and I thought, I better go off and learn how to do this properly. So I go off and take a 2-week intensive aerobics class, exercise to music. And on the first day, I ring Carol up and said, "I think I've made a mistake. This is so hard. You'd have to know the anatomy. You've got to know all the different terminologies, and then you've got to learn the routines and whatever." Anyway, at the end of it, you do 1 week, you go away for a week and practice and come back. And at the end of the first week, the lady said to me, "We need to sit down and I'll tell you how your week's gone." And I said, "Look, before you start, I know that you're going to say all sorts of positive things to me, I said, "but that won't work for me." I said, "You have got to actually tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I need to work on in the next week." She didn't hold back, Aggie.
You asked for it.
I asked for it, and I got it. But the thing about that is that it's exactly what I needed. Mm-hmm. So I was working at the Royal George pub at the time, and so I got some of the ladies and the guys there, and my mate had a gym. He let me borrow his upstairs hall, and for 3 mornings of that week, I put the routine together, and they were brilliant. They came along and helped me to practice. And I went back, did the second week. You then have to do put programs together and whatever, and then take the exam in about 3-4 months' time. Mm-hmm. And I passed. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, wow, what a realization that I knew absolutely nothing about aerobics. But I was able to learn it. If you put your mind to it, if there's something that you really, really want to do, you can learn anything. You can do anything that you want to, if you've got that desire to. So that, and becoming a Pilates instructor, again, was something else that I'd never done before. And it was the ladies who came to my aerobics classes. We're too old to jump about. Can we do something that's a little less strenuous?
Mm-hmm.
They should be careful what they wish for, because they reckon that the Pilates was even harder than the aerobics. But yeah, so that's probably another defining moment where I took on something that I knew nothing about, and so now, even when I look at certain property strategies,
Mm-hmm.
that I do, and certain businesses that I take on, I don't see that there's anything that I can't do. You can learn it. They're all learnable skills.
Exactly. It's very important. And I wanted to ask, because you said about the learnable skills, and no matter what it is, we can do whatever we set our mind on doing. Do you think there is an element of confidence involved in doing this? Or if I rephrase it, is lack of confidence a reason why many people don't ever go ahead and do all those things that maybe they wanted to do, but they don't? And I mean, lack of confidence combined with the lack of knowledge.
I think even sometimes when people have got knowledge, the lack of confidence, definitely can stop people. And it's the fears are, and it's all to do with fear, either the fear of failing or the fear of success. Both of those things will hold people back. And we have a saying in our household, which I devised for my children, which I didn't come up with it, but I've adopted it, and that is that action kills fear.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're afraid of it, we just got to keep doing it, the action, and then soon, you think, what was all the fuss about? Or you could still have an element of the fear, but not enough to hold you back. And I think so by taking that action, that will help to grow the self-confidence, because as you start to have success, there is an air of confidence that comes with that, because even though you might not feel you're having the success, your peers around you tell you how well you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps you to elevate your confidence.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to discuss about the confidence, and is that there is no one universal confidence. I mean, we can be confident in some aspects and not confident in other aspects in our life. And I'm saying that because I saw your post earlier before we started the interview that you were saying that doing the podcast interview is going to massively take you out of your comfort zone. Whereas me, that I've known you for a few years, you seem to be a very confident person, not worried in speaking in front of many people in public, very successful in people's eyes, but still that when you admit and you have the vulnerability to say this is taking me out of my comfort zone, it came to show me that you know what, it's not like I am confident in everything. There are things that someone might think that this is very simple what we're doing now, but now you are admitting that it takes you out of the comfort zone. And so what are your thoughts on the comfort zone and pushing the boundaries, and how that influences our confidence?
Yeah, well, firstly, I thank you for the compliment about me being a confident person and stuff. So thank you very much for that. About pushing the boundaries, as you mentioned earlier, that I started a property networking group. This is my 7th year. I've been doing that here. And that was one of the reasons, is that I like to help people, but I'm more of a doer and so I wanted to learn of how to maybe try and get my point across, be able to share my knowledge, because so many people say, how do you do that? How do you do that? And I want to be able to try and put it in a way that people maybe can understand, so they can go away and say, actually, yes, I understand that. I can take that away and do that. So public speaking. So I took the public speaking course that Progressive have, and on my very first night of when PPN went live, pretty much anything that could go wrong went wrong. You know, it was one of those where, you know, I'm, as everyone knows, I am not a tech wizard, and I had one of these old-fashioned laptops, and the guy who was speaking, he had a Mac, and he was saying, "I can't believe you haven't got a Mac. Why have you got this thing? Oh, my thing won't work on there." And we couldn't get it to go up on the screen and whatever. We're having trouble with the people paying on the door with the iZettle and whatever, and all this sorts of stuff was going on. And the one thing that night taught me was that it can't get any worse than this. It can't get any worse than this, and everybody had a good time. But it wasn't natural for me to be speaking out the front. I was nervous. My hands were cold and sweaty, you know, and it really did take me out of my comfort zone. I'm good at doing stuff, but I'm not really that big on talking about myself and saying, you know, I've done this and I've done that and look at me, that sort of stuff. I let other people judge. I just get on and do. And so that's why this is taking me outside of my comfort zone, because you're going to ask me things and and I'm going to have to say them, and I'm trying not to say them in a big-headed type way.
Oh, I won't worry about that at all, because as far as I know you, you are not a person that would start speaking like that anyway. Even if you tried. Talking about public speaking, I have to say that and express my gratitude in public, because it was 2 years ago. Actually, it was 2 years ago to tomorrow when I delivered my first public speech at your property networking event. So you offered me the opportunity that time, because I had just taken the course, the same course in Progressive that you had taken, I took. And when I told you, you said, "Do you want to come and speak?" And I thought, well, what the heck, let's do it, because I wanted to take the opportunity. Yes, my hands were also cold, and I felt, I mean, it's normal to have butterflies or those things, especially when you want to, you know, to do something good. If you don't care what you will deliver or whether people would like it, you won't feel. But it's normal, I think, to feel those sensations, because you care. And so that was my first public speech, which you told me that it was the. I remember what you said to me, that if I was nervous, you couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell. Honestly, couldn't tell. It was really, really well delivered. So that was good, and we got some really good feedback about the talk. So
and it was 40 people, which was slightly over the average of the previous times. So it was fantastic. Yeah, action kills fear. You said that, and indeed, action is the antidote to that. Shall we talk about personal development? Because I know you have been a student of personal development, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Jim Rohn. So how has personal development changed your life?
Well, I listen to or read something educational, inspirational, motivational every day, 7 days a week.
You do? Every single day?
Every single day. Don't miss a day. I don't always have time to read, so sometimes I listen in the car, depending whether I've got an early start or not.
Mm-hmm.
But personal development, I suppose, also I mix with people that I admire and respect on a weekly basis. And so it's helped me to become a better person. it raises self-confidence and my self-esteem. So with things like when you listen to other people's troubles and how they've overcome them, it makes you feel, if they can do it, I can. Mm-hmm. Or they've had a similar situation and that's how they've overcome it. Let me try that too. And so I think with personal development, by listening to things like that, educational, motivational, inspiration, that's how that has helped me to be able to feel that there isn't a problem that I can't overcome, mm-hmm. because whatever it is I'm feeling, someone else has already done that. The other thing is, Aggie, that I said that it helps me to become a better person. So I try and work from the inside out. I listen more. I let other people speak. I try not to judge. It's hard sometimes, but I try not to judge. And I enjoy my own company. I know there's a lot of people who are dangerous alone with their thoughts. So and it's not saying that I've mastered it and I'm there. It's an ongoing process, which mm-hmm. is why I do it every day, which I don't miss a day with listening. But I can quite happily sit by myself and meditate. I used to work for Ipswich Co-op, and there's an old chap who was, when I first started, he was on the greengrocery, and he said that the key was to make sure that you take some time for yourself every mm-hmm. day. And I try and make sure that a minimum of 15 minutes that I can sit and just close my eyes and just recharge sometime during the day. And it might be that I reflect on what I've listened to that day. Mm-hmm. I always start off the day by the things that I'm grateful for. Mm-hmm. And it might be that I just add to that, or I might just sit and just listen to the sounds around me. But I always try and just take some time for myself. Mm-hmm. And I feel that personal development has helped me to do that. I'm able to focus on nothing, because I'm able to maybe from the inside, I like myself. I like the person that I've become. As I said, it helps me to be a better person. It helps me to focus on the important things to help me to fulfill my life. Mm-hmm. It's not all about what's in it for me. I like to help people, so that also helps me. When someone comes to me, I'm always trying to think, how could I help them? Can I is there a solution to this? Now, I try not to. I used to, when in the early days, if someone came to me with a problem, I'm straight in to try and fix it. I wait to find out if they want me to, but I'm already thinking about, what is the solution? What solution would I give them? So when they say, well, Halstead, I've got this problem, I've got that problem, what would you do about it? I've already thought about it, but I'll only give that to them if they say, yeah, Halstead, actually, I need your help here, so. But yeah, that's what I feel that personal development has done for me.
Carry on. I don't want to interrupt you. You were, yeah.
And affirmations. I've always done affirmations. I got introduced to that from Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. I've got his Get the Edge set. And so, I try and do affirmations, if not daily, but mm-hmm. At least a few times a week. Mm-hmm. And one of the affirmation that I say the most is that I believe that I can do anything that I set out to do, and if it's to be, it's up to me. And mm-hmm. so that is my mantra for the day. When I've got things that. A real challenge in my affirmation. Yes, I can do it. Action kills fear. and I believe that I can, and there's only me that can get it done.
Do you say this in your mind, or do you say them out loud as well?
Both. If depending on what it is that I'm I'm going to do, sometimes I need it out loud. But yeah, either or, I will say.
That's great, and I know that phrase you said, "If it's to be, it's up to me." It's one of your favorite quotes or your mantras. So I imagine you now, before a meeting or something difficult or challenging, saying inside your mind, "If it's to be, it's up to me."
Up to me. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's very empowering. Thinking about it, having a phrase like that, which you can use as a mental resource to boost you, certainly very helpful. I think that's something that, even though I use affirmations, this having one or two key phrases to trigger my confidence is something very, very, I think, helpful. Halstead, I want your thoughts on self-doubt, dealing with those negative thoughts that came up, and the impostor syndrome. I'm sure you've been a mentor. You encounter it often. People telling you, "Well, I have these thoughts. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. Who am I to be able to do that?" So, what are your thoughts and your advice on that?
I suppose it goes back to that action kills fear. Mm-hmm. We all have self-doubt, and I think that the way to overcome the imposter syndrome is to prove to yourself that you can do it. And so by taking the actions, as long as you don't focus on making mistakes and failing, because we all do, it's about keeping going. And as long as you keep going, then the self-doubt starts to dissipate. You stop feeling an imposter because the results start to come in.
Yeah.
So I used to run a football team, and I ran it for about 30 years. And when we started, we used to get hammered every week, every single week. Sometimes we never scored any goals. And so at the end of that season, I said to the boys, "Look, what we've got to do is we've got to make sure we train hard." So the following season, they trained so we trained on a Wednesday and played at the weekend. And yes, we got a result. We won 4 matches that year, and we scored more goals. Now, that's a massive achievement from the year before. And the boys was thinking, you would have thought we had won the cup. When we used to drive home, I would be driving them out because nobody would help me with the football team. I used to have to do 2 or 3 trips. I'd take them, drop them off, come back and get some boys, and then take them back again. Because at the start, people would just drop their children off and just leave you with them, and whatever. And on the way home, they'd be singing and chanting, we've lost, but we've scored a couple of goals, right? Or if we'd won a game, yes, you'd think we'd won the cup. But eventually, the following year, we got a few more players in, and then we won the league. We came second in under 16s. We went into a local league, and I think we won Division 3, Division 2, runner up in Division 1, and third in the Premier. And we won loads of cups and things along the way. And the point I'm making here, Aggie, is that people could have looked at the first 2 seasons as a failure. Because we won no games, and then we only won 4 games. And people maybe would have quit after those 2 years, had no one helping me, washing the kit myself, picking the boys up, running, training myself and things like that. To, in that 3rd year, start to have people come to help. managed to get someone to do the secretary's job, someone to do the chairman's job, someone to take over washing the kit. People on the sidelines, the parents started to come to watch the boys and cheer them on, so, and then we started to have success. And when we then won the league, wow, did I feel that self-doubt? No, because I was so wrapped up in it, and it's the peers. Your peers were saying to you, wow, what a good team. Or we're playing Ipswich Manor next week, and you think, God, that's my team, So, people started to fear us and stuff like that. So I think it all comes down to action, taking the action and not being afraid to make mistakes and not being afraid to fail. That you just got to, it's all part of the process, and you've got to just keep going, because eventually you will get results. Because as long as you know what it is you're trying to achieve, you'll get there in the end. You'll get that result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose to some extent, many of us have been conditioned as children that failure and mistakes are something to be avoided.
Yes.
So if you have that program inside your mind that I mustn't fail, I mustn't make a mistake, that really holds you, keeps you from taking the action necessary, because it's making a mistake, as we call it, or a learning, which I prefer to use that term, because they're never mistakes. That's, I think it was Nelson Mandela that said, I never make mistakes. Either I win or I learn. So the term mistake and failure, especially failure, it has a color to that term that it's really bad. But
yes.
I like, and these are things that I have learned from my own personal development journey, because I was afraid of failure very much. But now I know that fail forward and then take the next step. And failure is inevitable in pursuing your goals and success, whatever that means to you.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree, because when I started off in property, there was loads of mistakes because I didn't understand it. For starters, I didn't know that you were supposed to make money monthly. I was just seeing the capital growth. So it is about as you say, failing forwards. Just keep going and keep failing forwards. But you need to know what it is that you're trying to achieve, and as long as you know what it is you're trying to achieve, and you can see that picture and hold that in your mind, that's what drives you on. And sometimes you don't actually see the mistakes or the failures as we're calling them. They are learnings, they are opportunities, with the football. So when we then come and play the team that beat us last week, and we play them again in a few weeks' time, we're not thinking about, oh my God, we're going to get beaten again. We're thinking, right, how can we beat this team? And we come up with the tactics to be able to give them a good game, or to make sure or come out victorious. But we plan, we know what it is that we want to achieve, and we plan to try and do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Halstead, since you mentioned the property and the mistakes that you were making, I wanted to ask and have a conversation about property as a means to achieve wealth or income, or it is an asset class which is considered, especially in the UK, one of the best. So I want your thoughts, generally speaking, about why should someone invest in property. And I think especially during these times that with the coronavirus and the lockdown, where many people's income has been disrupted, how can that be even more important in terms of having another source of income?
I think that my reasons for investing in property are that I wanted to, it's for the capital growth, because my mum showed me that early on, and then for the monthly cash flow. So, and by doing that, now not everybody invests in areas that have both of those, but for me that was quite important. I learned the capital growth thing first, and then the cash flow came on. But it all depends on what your strategies are. And I think you ask, why do I think it's important to have another source of income as opposed to just earned income? And Robert Kiyosaki, so I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he said that you need to have 3 streams of income, and you want them to be passive. Now, I had not come across that term, passive income before. But what that allows you to do is that you get paid whether you work or not, as long as you've put the work in beforehand. And some people miss the first step. They miss the putting the work in beforehand. They think, right, I've decided I'm going to be a property investor. I've done a little bit of education. Where's my money? That's the start of it. You then have to go out and now you have to do the work. But if you go out and do the work, and as I said, know what it is that you're trying to create, you can then build up the passive income. So property is one way, businesses are another way to be able to create these secondary incomes. And I think, this is really showing now that if you've got all your eggs in one basket, if you drop that basket, then you are in trouble. Things are not going to be the same when we come out of this. There's going to be winners, and people less fortunate. I think that, the people who have got big businesses are going to be looking to think, wow, we've got staff working from home. Why have we been struggling to pay for a building, the mortgage on it, the maintenance of it, the cleaning of it, with all the staff and the infrastructure that goes in it? And all we really need to do is be able to set our employees up at home and be able to reduce our overheads. Things are just not going to be the same. And you've got, obviously, I'm a property investor, and I've got some tenants who maybe are struggling to pay, to pay their mortgage or whatever, and pay their rent. But the thing about that is that the people that are in there, in most of the properties, will do their utmost to pay something. So what we did was, when I set up my property portfolio, was to make sure that if my tenants couldn't pay, that I would still be able to survive a certain amount of time. And the main reason is that back in 1992, my portfolio, I could have lost it because of that reason. I went into arrears with all of them or whatever. Now, the thing about that was that taught me that on the application, when you apply for a mortgage, they will do an affordability test to say that if they can't pay, can you? And you've said, yes, you can. And so we always make sure that we put a certain amount of months by, so that we can survive if the worst comes to the worst. So that's what how I've set it up. There's different other things that I've done to future-proof my portfolio, but that's one of them. That there's a lump sum of money that sits there, and if the tenant can't pay, then we can still pay it, because the lender has said, is that possible? So, and I've said yes. So I can't go back to them and say, actually, can you give me 3 months because I can't actually afford it.
Yeah.
But the thing about that, the point I'm making here is that I'm not affected like the people who've got a job, who, and, heaven forbid, I'm not belittling the people that have got a job, I feel for those people like hairdressers whose income's just overnight, restaurants overnight, they've got no income whatsoever, and for those people who've got businesses who have said to their families, come along, and help us with this business, they've sunk their life savings into it, and they're 2 years in, and now, they're going to be struggling and have to say to family members, actually, we need to let you go at the moment. So it's about not having one source of income. It's about having multiple streams of income. So if you've got earned, you want another 2 or 3 streams of income. I'm not sitting here saying that property is the only way. There's lots of other streams of income, but it's about not just having one stream of income, but property is definitely one way. There's loads of different ways that you can get an income from property.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the ones I know the best because that's the ones that I've
you've been doing
had the learnings from.
Over 30 years now, and
yes.
you mentor people for that.
Yes,
so,
that's right.
Yes. But if anything, I agree with you. This period, because now we're recording this, we're in the 8th week of the lockdown, or the 9th. It's been close to 2 months. And if anything, I think now people are starting to realize that relying on their source of income from their job is not a very good strategy. It's very risky because I suppose we have trained by older generations that, or our parents' generation, or before, that this is the way to do it. You work hard and then you get your pension and you retire. But this is really not safe anymore. On the contrary, it is the most risky thing because someone can pull the rug under your feet, and it can be your health, it can be your employer, it can be a pandemic. And then if you don't have an alternative, what do? It's
if you haven't got an alternative, then the pressure really starts to mount. So you've not only got your job, but you've now got your health. The stress levels rise. Your relationships start to struggle. If you're married or you're living with someone, so I really, really do. Especially for my children, I'm trying to make them entrepreneurial. The reason to go out and get a job is to learn the skills to help you in whatever direction you want to go in. But to be able to have, and there's nothing wrong. Some people had a job that they really enjoy. I worked for the co-op. I absolutely loved the job. And the only reason I left is because they started opening on a Sunday. But I was still building my property on the side. I still had other business things that I was doing, even though I was still working at the co-op. I didn't only have that one income, but I absolutely loved the job. And I would have probably, who knows, would have been trying to do all of the things as well as keep my job. It's a full-time job. But they started to open on a Sunday, and I just made the choice that, okay, I will leave my job. But having a job is risky. My wife's a designer, and she won't mind me saying that we always used to have the debate about being self-employed and earning, having a job. And she was definitely in the camp of having a job. And it wasn't until she got made redundant to the 4th time that she came around to seeing it my way. And she's not looked back since. She runs her own little business, helps me with the business, should I say, more than anything. But which allows us, and now she's happier than she's ever been. And here we are in this pandemic, and she's not affected by it because of what we've already put in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do really need to have a look and say, yeah, I love my job, but how else can I protect myself?
Exactly.
The message, I think.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to this first part of the interview with Halstead Ottley. Tune in to the next episode, number 30, for the second half of the interview, where Halstead discusses the concept of financial freedom. He talks about the property investing training courses and also the beliefs and mindsets of success. Thank you very much for listening. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate and review Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts. If you want to know more about me and how I can help you, join my Facebook group Personal Development Mastery. You can either search for it on Facebook or you can simply type bit.ly/PDM group. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.